Good morning there, YouTube. This is Robert Smith. It's April 23rd, 2020. I'm down at the TA here in Richmond, Virginia, at off I-95, exit 89. Just wanted to give everybody a little update about what's been going on with this pandemic and truck drivers. I know some people probably heard on the news that truck drivers have not been able to get food, or they've not been able to get showers, things like that. No. Depending on where you go, all the truck stops have been open. All the restaurants are open. Some places may have limited menus, like the Petro in Las Vegas limited their menu at the Iron Skillet. And you know what's funny? The things they limited are the food I like. And I'm like, trying to watch my cholesterol, trying to watch what I eat, and the only thing you got for me is freaking fried foods? What the heck are you doing to me? Anyway, I've been noticing a little bit on the news that during this pandemic, I'm now starting to see people protest the government about what's going on. And you know, I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit. I've gone all over this country during this pandemic. I've been out here ever since it started. Hey, I've been out here since January, since all this has started. And all I've seen was nothing but chaos. I have not seen anything positive about this, except maybe fuel prices going down and less traffic on the road. But you come out here to the East Coast, I don't see a difference in the East Coast versus in the Midwest. It's hard to find out here on the East Coast. It's hard to find parking and things like that. But anyway, my thing is, I'm just hoping that everything starts opening back up, because for me, I'm like, I'm tired of being stuck in the truck. I mean, I'd like to get out once in a while. I mean, yeah, I could get out, walk around the truck stop or something like that. But seriously, people, I like to walk around places like malls and freaking Bass Pro and stuff like that. And hey, I buy stuff at Bass Pro. I buy stuff at Home Depot. I mean, sure, just the other day, I was able to get to Menards and go walk around, get some things for my house and stuff like that. No big deal. But I have not been able to do that as often as I should be doing that to keep my health in order. Not just my physical health, but my mental health. See, I'll tell you right now, truck drivers cannot just drive and sleep like everybody thinks they can. I am not a droid. I'm organic. See? I'm organic. I am not a robot. You prick me, I bleed. I don't. You prick me, I bleed blood, not oil. I'm not a robot. I am not a prissy golden droid known as C-3PO. If people want drivers that all they do is drive and sleep, hire C-3PO, not me. There's times I just want to get out of this damn truck just to stretch my legs, just to go see stuff. Now, I'm like this. If I was sick, even if I had just a small cold or something like that, I would not get out. I would not even go into town. Unless I had no other choice. That's different. But if I caught this virus, the first thing I'd be doing is calling up my dispatcher, telling him, hey, you need to get me home. Don't bother giving me a load. I'm coming home. I'm deadheading home. I don't care where I'm at. I'm not going to get anybody else infected if I caught this virus. But from what I've been hearing, this virus only has a 2-week lifespan. And let me tell you, we've been at this BS for over 6 weeks. If this virus has not been eradicated by now, I don't think it ever will. But I've been hearing that the CDC wants to, keep a vice grip on the government, keep on telling them, hey, let's open up when we have 0 cases. Oh yeah? I've got something to say to the CDC. And yet, a note, this is the same CDC that tells me that I'm going to end up having cancer one of these days because I drink water out of a well. And my well is a natural underground cave spring that is purified by the same dang materials you find in the ground that make water purification filters. I don't have an issue with radon. I don't have an issue with any other bacteria. The only thing I have with my well is like any other well, I end up having just a little too much water scale calcium. No big deal. That's what a scale blaster's for, and that's what CLR is for. But I tell you, the CDC, they keep their grip on this government. One or two things is going to happen. You're going to completely cause this economy to collapse. They're going to be out of a job. Everybody's going to be out of a job. And here's another thing. Some of these politicians that I swear are like this close to be considered communists, or some of these state governments, like say California, whose government, and yes, I've got this from sources from people who live in California, their government is on the verge of communism. They have already have strict gun laws, strict laws, and everything like that. Hell, I heard a lady in San Diego is facing charges for protesting this stay-at-home order. I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? You're gonna press charges against this lady for exercising her constitutional, God-given right? That is communism right there. What next? You're gonna start executing people just because they flipped you the bird? You start doing that, you're gonna have a war on your hands. You dumbass Democrat politicians, period. You dumbass, liberal, college-educated, ignorant communists are going to find out the hard way what the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States is really for. Is to keep a government like what you're doing from going rogue. And that is exactly what you guys are doing. Now, I'm not making any threats. I'm not part of a militia. I'm not part of anything. Of course, the only way I'd be able to fight for my homeland, thanks to my medical problems, is to join a militia. But I'll cross that bridge if it ever comes up. But I am not for overthrowing a government. I am not for making threats to people. But all I am saying, start watching your backs. Because there's a lot of crazier people out there than me. Me, I'm like this. I just go home, lock all my doors, make sure I've got enough booze, make sure I got enough Bibles, make sure I've got enough things to do during something like this. But as a truck driver, if I was so damn worried about this virus, I wouldn't be out here. I've gone from the whole time this pandemic, I've gone from the East Coast to the West Coast and back again. I've seen all the BS going on in California, which they're worse because like I said, their government's on the verge of communism. I refuse to go anywhere near New York City because, well, for one thing, I don't want to take a tractor trailer through New York City. Costs too much and the streets are so dang narrow, it's not worth it. Not to mention, they said that they've got the worst of it, which I could see why. That island, it's overpopulated. I could see that happening. My brother, he's stationed up in Fort Drum, New York. He's going nuts as it is. God love him. But the thing is, now that I'm starting to see people protest, I guess I feel that, hey, I'm not alone with this, because I just delivered a load in Pennsylvania, and they passed a law saying that if you're going into town, you got to wear a mask. Well, here's the thing that those stupid politicians fail to realize. I can't wear masks. They cause me to have panic attacks. I mean, I tried doing it one time. I almost had a panic attack. I couldn't do it. The only thing I can use is a respirator, which, praise God, last time I went to Menards, I found one, and the funny thing is, that's the only thing they had. Dust masks were gone. The good dust masks that you can breathe in and out with, fresher air, were all gone. But this thing here, which I'll show you, is all they had. A simple painting, mold resistant, reusable cartridge, reusable respirator. You just replace these purple and yellow cartridges whenever possible. This thing here is the best thing to use, if you ask me. You breathe in fresh air and you exhale the hot air. You don't feel like you're being suffocated. You don't feel like you're being suffocated and everything like that. That's what a lot of people fail to realize. Oh, wear a surgical mask. I'm like, oh, I'd love to if I could get my hands on them. But I'll tell you this right now. I was only able to buy this 2 days ago. During this whole pandemic, I could not find anything. This is hand sanitizer. 3 weeks after all this happened, I finally found some. And it took me 4 weeks to find another bottle of this. 1,000 milligrams. I saw it, I grabbed it. That's another thing people need to do. Start taking vitamins. That's probably why I've never gotten sick. The only issues I've been having is just common seasonal allergies. Excuse me. But anyway, just want to say that, hey, people are protesting. I think it's good. I think America needs to start waking up. Start waking up and say, hey, let's end this right now before it gets really, really worse. Because I'm going to say this right now. If this got so bad to where truck drivers could not get hot food or could not even get a shower or hell, even get fuel. If it got this bad, all I can say is, sorry, America, I'm going home. Come knock on my door when you guys are ready to get your head screwed on straight. And I've gotten to the point, if I got to wear a mask just to deliver a damn load, I'm not doing business with you. Because I feel that people, some people are like, oh, good Lord, you're filthy. I'm surprised you don't get sick. Which I'm not. I'm not a filthy person. But I'm not so scared of freaking germs and viruses and things like that to the point that I'm going to end up wearing gloves and a mask every time I go to town. I've seen even people doing that even before a pandemic. And I really don't mean to sound offensive to some people. I mean, I understand it's a phobia. It sometimes can't be helped. And it's also the way you were raised. I can't really protest about that. But one of the things I really just kind of drives me nuts, even before a pandemic, I was in Denver, Colorado, or Commerce City, Colorado, at a TA truck stop. They have down the way, they've got a Bass Pro, a Super Target, a nice big outlet mall with all kinds of restaurants, a movie theater, you name it. Perfect place for a 34-hour restart. I was walking over there to go to Bass Pro one day, and I found this lady on a bike wearing a surgical mask and wearing gloves. And I was trying to get up to the pedestrian walk area to push the button for the light to change. She was taking her time, rubbing a Lysol wipe on it so she could push it. It was getting a little on my nerves to the point I was about ready to be rude and say, oh, for God's sakes, get out of the way. People like that do tend to drive me nuts, and I try to hold my patience, try to keep my patience as possible, but ever since this happened, I'm losing patience. So if I snap at anybody in the future, like if I run into you and I snap at you, I apologize in advance. Especially being out here, I've not been able to do anything. Easter weekend, I was in Ogden, Utah, and I was able to walk around town and have some fun. Found some gun stores that were open, looked around and all that good stuff. Just walked around, got out of the truck. I mean, even if I could just do that and just walk around a town, stretch my legs and all that type of stuff, that's fine. But there's times I want to do things. I don't want to sit in my truck all the damn time. I can't do that. I would actually literally go nuts. I mean, if people think that they have it bad at home, try being trapped in this damn truck. Try being trapped in a truck like this. Sure, yeah, it's roomy, but it's not home. I've gotten to the point I wouldn't mind trading places with people right now. If you're so mad about being stuck at home, come out here and do my job. Or quit buying so much damn toilet paper and all that type of stuff, you damn toilet paper holders, hoarders, I should say. Quit buying stuff. Quit buying things off the shelf. Quit scooping things into your carts, so we truck drivers can go home and take a break. Now, another funny thing I find during this pandemic was this. Well, the fact that somebody bought over 10, I think this is in Australia or something, but I've heard other stories, but somebody buys over $10,000 worth of toilet paper. If you're going to spend that much money on toilet paper, why not just buy a bidet? They have a toilet seat, which has a bidet system built into it at every home center I've been to for under $400. Not to mention bidets are 10 times more cleaner and sanitary than toilet paper. But hey, for those who can't afford it and couldn't get toilet paper, here's this. How about do your business, jump in the shower, or use newspaper, or get these. These were the only paper towels I could find on the shelf, and these are automotive paper towels, shop towels. And let me tell you, if you had to use them for toilet paper, they're nice and soft compared to paper towels. Sure, I wouldn't recommend flushing these, especially if you have a septic system. I would not recommend you flush these down the toilet. Throw them in the trash. But yeah, I know I've been also seeing all these things on TV like, oh, we're all in this together and things like that. And I'm like, I don't see it. Yeah, you people may be stuck at home or with your kids and all that. And I think in a way to me, that's bringing people closer together. And I think that's a good thing. But I also believe this. If me and my family, me and my kids, my wife and kids, God willing when I have them, if we want to have a barbecue in our backyard and the government starts coming up to my doorstep telling me that, you need to remain inside, I'm like, I'm on my property. Get out of here. Because I'll tell you this right now, I live out in the damn country. I'm not susceptible to catching disease compared to people who live in a city. And I sometimes cannot understand how in the world people can live in the big city. I couldn't. I would literally go nuts with all the rules and regulations you people have. Yeah, sure. I mean, some people don't even notice it, but me, I do. I don't like the idea of some neighbor sticking their nose in my business or wanting to be a jerk and tell me, hey, I'm working on an old car, that it's an eyesore, it needs to go away. It's none of your damn business what I do. But I really do think, I've been seeing the fact that, schools have been closing, and well, the positive thing I see about that is kids are not being bullied as much. And I'm not pointing fingers at any particular school or anything, but nowadays you hear more about kids being bullied in school than you hear about any achievements they accomplished. I'm like, what in God's name is our society going to if that is going to be the case? Yeah, when I was a kid, I was bullied in school. And do I care to see any of those classmates again? No, I don't. I tend to hold a bit of a grudge. Yes, can't help it. That's the way I'm wired. That's the way my mentality is wired. You do me wrong one time, you're the scum of the earth in my book. Sure, I try to forgive and forget, and that's what God wants me to do. But the problem is, sometimes being a human, it's hard to do that. And of course, hey, I pray for him. But the one thing I definitely do pray about is that America finally wakes up and says, hey, we need to stop this crap right now. I understand that this is a pandemic, but I feel that the news and everybody like that, even the CDC, made it more worse than what it is. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If people were dying off, I mean, perfectly healthy people were dying off just from mere exposure, and I mean like that much exposure to that virus, like you get one whiff of it, like somebody sneezes, you get one whiff and you fall over dead, then I'll start worrying. I mean, if it all of a sudden, if the world starts churning into a Stephen King movie or a Stephen King book, then I'll freak out. Then, of course, you know, hey, my dad always tells me if he starts panicking, then we need to panic. That's another thing. But another thing that I'm definitely going to say about this dang pandemic, it needs to stop. Truck drivers, yeah, sure, we're still able to get our loads, we're still able to get food, we're still able to get showers, but it's also getting downright to the point that why in the world are we even out here if people start saying it's getting worse? Like, why in the world should I do business with a state that tells me I have to wear a respirator or a mask when I tend to hyperventilate if I wear a mask? And I'm not sick. If I was sick, I'd go home. Because if I gotta be quarantined for 2 weeks, I'd rather be at home. Because at home, I've got my home theater system, I've got my guns, and I've got my booze. And I've got a lot of things to do at home too. Yard work, renovations, things like that. I got an old pickup I'm restoring. So, why in the world should I be stuck in some other state for 2 weeks if I got sick? Excuse me. And that's just allergies, people. That ain't that stupid virus. I just feel that people are making a mountain out of a molehill with this virus. I mean, the one thing that also gets me that I kind of envy about is the doctors and nurses. I mean, say the ones that got little kids, if they completely keep on following those strict guidelines. Now, I know why they're doing that. They're doing that to keep their kids and families safe, but do you really think a young child is going to understand that? I'd be more worried about the child feeling like his mom or dad doesn't love him anymore because they can't come up and hug him. Sometimes, you know, it takes more than words to show somebody how you feel. Yes, I know I'm quoting a dang power ballad, but hey, the idea for that song had to come from somewhere. But it is true. It takes more than words to show somebody how you really feel. That includes children. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying none of these doctors or nurses that are out there don't love their kids. No. I understand what they're doing, but they may not. Because let me tell you, when I was a kid with my mental issues, my dad was a doctor and all that. My dad was a soldier, so I was used to seeing him deploy, and there was times I actually got very upset about it. Hell, when I was a 6-year-old kid, my dad had to go to Korea. I lost it in the middle of an airport. But, yeah, thing is, the only thing I can basically would say is thank you to the doctors and nurses and all the emergency response people out there. Also, take the time to thank them like I do. Also, take the time to thank truck drivers. Take the time to at least appreciate. I mean, hey, kids, do the horn thing. We love it when you do that. You make our day when you do that. But, yeah. I just feel, hey, there's times I've been like this. I feel like here I am sticking my neck out for this country, and what thanks do I get? Nothing. I don't feel like I do get as much thanks, but I've been out here so dang long, I feel like I don't see it as much. So if I ever cross your path and if I look grouchy, I really don't mean to look grouchy. I'm just anxious to get home and things like that. And I'm anxious for all this virus stuff to stop. It's time for America to wake up and start getting back to work. Because if this keeps up longer than what it's scheduled to be, I hate to say this, people are probably going to do one or two things. They're going to either start getting depressed to the point they may be on the verge of suicide, or they're going to lose it to the point that they're going to take up arms. And I don't mean that in a good way. Either take up arms against innocent people who have everything they want and get looted or robbed, or they're going to want to fight. They're going to want to fight against the government. Now, I'm not for any of that, but it's going to get to that point. If this economy shuts down to the point we're in another depression, I don't know how to tell you this. Don't be surprised. People like me who live out in the country start shooting people for trespassing. Like what they had to do back in the Great Depression. Because I'm like this, I can grow my own food, I can get my own meat, I can hunt, fish, all that type of stuff. But the thing is, you come down to my neck of the woods and try to steal from me, steal my food from my family's mouths, I will shoot you. That's all I can say. And I know other people like that would actually say the same damn thing. I mean, I'm not for violence. To me, that's a last resort. But I'm just hoping and praying to God that this ends soon before something worse comes. Something worse that comes is going to be war. It may be a small one, it may be a big one, who knows? But call me what you will, call me paranoid, whatever, but that's how I feel if this keeps up. But anyway, I just pray that that does not happen. I'm not for violence. I'm not for anything like that. I really do hope that we do get back going, peacefully and easily as possible. Anyway, I got to close off here so I can go deliver my load. I want to give a thanks out to our military, to our veterans, to all of our preachers and ministers out there, along with the truck drivers, and along with our doctors and nurses, EMTs, and other emergency response people who are doing their best to try to get this going. And as for the CDC, I understand you're all doing your best. Do better. You want to impress me? Do better. Do better and keep on doing the best you can. Just hurry up with this. I want to give a big shout out and say thank you to everybody who's out there working, keeping this country going. Thank you very much. You guys have a good one, and all stay safe.